A little humility might go a long way. Hey dolls, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with the Fingerdoo review of RuPaul's Drag Race All Winners, All Stars Season 7, Episode 5. And before I get started, I need to send a shout out and a personal apology to Timothy Eller, who graciously sent me a Tipperdoo, and I completely overlooked it. I'm beyond sorry, Timothy, and I hope you don't feel underappreciated, because I appreciate all my Tipperdoos. I'm so serious. Speaking of, I want to thank Caitlin Hunt for her Tipperdoo, which she made through my link tree on either my Instagram or Twitter. It's on both of those if you're ever looking. I'm just saying. And thanks, Caitlin. And I also want to send a shout out to Jennifer Valier, who sent me not only a Tipperdoo, but she also sent a Tipperdoo to Rainbow Railroad. It is Pride Month, and my charity of choice, the only one I really support, is Rainbow Railroad. Right now, you can get the Lar Souza Friend of Jorge t-shirt, which is my official Pride t-shirt for 2022. But all the money I get for anything with the Friend of Jorge image on it will be going to Rainbow Railroad. And if you'd like more information on Rainbow Railroad, I have a link directly to them down below so you can get more information or make a direct contribution to their cause. And I think it's a good one. I also want to welcome back a returning princess to the Fingerdoo family on Patreon. Quirkus, welcome back, doll. If you'd like to become a Tipperdoo or a member of the Fingerdoo family on Patreon, or get some Wilma merch on my Redbubble store, all those links are down below in the description box. Just hit the ... more in blue underneath this video. It's right down there, and all will be revealed. Also, in honor of her win last week, I used the Vivian Scepter palette from Be Perfect Cosmetics for this look. This is a great jumping off palette for anybody looking to either do drag makeup or just more exciting makeup. The one thing I love about it is that this extra large size black and extra large size white pan in the palette, because those are the ones we use the most. If you're interested in finding out more about this palette, I've got a link for it down below. I'm not affiliated. I just like to share things that I like with you. Okay. Jorge, drink me. Oh, look at this. Oh, with a yellow umbrella, very sunny, very bright. Very puckery. Oh, I dropped my umbrella. I think we're done. Let's get to it. So, the queens kicked this episode off by congratulating Vivi on her first star and win. Evie was kind enough to congratulate Jinx on her second win. Or maybe she was just kissing her butt. Either way, it was a big butt because Jinx didn't have a second star to show for that second win. Both she and Trinity have been denied that legendary legend star because of getting the platinum plunger. Speaking of those who've been blocked, Monet entered the workroom with toilet paper on her shoe, and that just about summed up her mood. Seriously. Her only solace was keeping the mystery of the platinum plunger alive to drive the unblocked queens crazy. Now, either the unblocked queens are already crazy, or they just don't care. Either way, the reaction to Monet and the platinum plunger mystery was meh. Speaking of mysteries, Vivi revealed that she couldn't block the queen she wanted to block because she was safe, aka Jinx. Way to go, Vivi. Let Jinx know you're gunning for her. It's amazing how much these queens underestimate Jinx. Seriously. The next day in the workroom, Ru showed up with this week's Maxi Challenge. But, more importantly, Ru was wearing this. What the hell happened? Did she run out of suits from Klein Epstein and Parker? Or did she lose a bet? She looks like a kinky plumber, or worst, proctologist. Same thing, really. I think it's the gloves. This week, the queens had to write an uplifting commencement speech for the class of 2022. What that class was graduating from is beyond me. The only thing these queens had to do was inspire the children. Oh, and, well, be funny while doing it. Because Monet was blocked, she got to set the speaking order. Lucky. Oh, and another gag this week was that the top two queens would be winning 2 legendary legend stars. One to keep and one to give away to another queen. WTF. Seriously, the whole point of this series is to accumulate more stars than other queens, and now they want the queens to give extra stars away? It's a competition, right? So no matter what, we'll be seeing at least our first two, possibly three queens with 2 stars by the end of this episode. Now that's how you mix it up. Here's the production. Way to keep them on their toes. As the queens got down to writing, Jinx gave Roger some great advice for writing a speech. Did Jinx start drinking again? Why is she helping the competition? It's a competition! Monet asked the queens what spot they'd like in the lineup, but I think that was more so she could burn them all. Well, I was wrong. So the lineup was Monet first, Shay, Trinity, Roger, Jada, Evie, Jinx, and last, the Vivian. Now, I can't tell if Monet putting the Vivian last was a compliment to her or if she was shooting a shot across her bow by having her follow Jinx. Either way, it's going to be a good show, I'm just saying. And to make sure it was a great show, the queens got to workshop their speeches with Carson Kressley and the fabulously funny comedian Nikki Glazer. I think this was an invaluable session for the queens because Nikki Glazer is not only a hilarious comic, she has great comedic instincts as well. I wish the same could be said for Carson. But who listens to Carson? When Jinx presented them with 2 different speeches, Carson nudged Jinx away from the condom story toward the getting hit by a car in Amsterdam story because it was a little more universal. I don't know about you, but I've never been hit by a car and I've never been to Amsterdam. There was only one queen I was worried about, Roger. She had chosen to portray a cult leader to give this commencement speech. Roger also didn't seem to pay any mind to Nikki or Carson's suggestions and then ended her workshop time by complaining about still not having a star. Seriously, I was worried that Roger was on the verge. I think she's starting to lose it. Seriously. On Elimination Day, as the queens were getting ready for the runway, Monet tried to convince Jinx she wasn't trying to be shady by putting her second to last. Jinx agreed it wasn't a memorable spot in any lineup, but funny is funny, and her plan was to not make it easy for Vivi to follow her. I have to admit, I enjoyed seeing this insecure side of Jinx where the Vivian is concerned. Her wishing she'd thought of that while she's watching Vivi perform was a real insight into the mystery that is Jinx. Which I really liked because the mystery that is Jinx was the name of my French play. Of course, this respect for Viv's talent didn't make Jinx forget that Vivi had admitted that she would have blocked Jinx over Monet if Jinx hadn't been safe. Good, because I was starting to think that Jinx had forgotten that. Silly Jinx. Paybacks are for drag queens. Seriously. And then it was time for the runway. Ru looked amazing. Period. Wig. Check. Makeup. Check. And this gown. Check, 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 check. I thought it was stunning. And I think it's because of the darker colors near the hem. Seriously, I love that dress. Michelle looked like a winner in her victory roll do and pink and black velvet. She wore pink and black velvet. Oh, oh, oh. Carson was looking peachy in pink. Thank God for the blue shirt, or he would have completely faded into the background. Seriously. And joining the judges this week, a woman who claims to look like a man out of makeup. And, well, if that doesn't make her the perfect judge for this pony show, I don't know what would. The gorgeous, because she probably used extra makeup, Nikki Glazer. Seriously. First up, the Drag U commencement speeches. Monet went first and didn't suck, but I don't think she was as funny as I bet she thought she was going to be. I'm sorry she ignored her pick falling out of her fabulous wig. She seemed nervous, and a little ad-lib banter about her accoutrement malfunction might have calmed her down a touch. Not that Monet did badly. I just think she could have done better. Just saying. Shay was second, and the best thing about her commencement speech was that outfit. She looked stunning. She was also funny. Well, funnier than Monet anyway. Her comment about her life not sounding like a John Hughes film because she's black was hilarious. And then she closed on a heartfelt moment. It was a full tilt boogie. Here's to Shay, seriously. Well, if I thought Shay was funny, Trinity was hilarious. But she wasn't a laugh a minute. Her speech walked the line between being touching and heartfelt and being very, very funny. She burned everyone with that speech, including herself. Personally, I was impressed. And then it was time for the high priestess of soothsayers everywhere, Roger. And let me tell you, no soothsayer could have predicted how funny she was going to be. Her list of post-graduation advice was brilliant. She started her speech off with, "You're all going to die," and it just went uphill from there. How could it not? Seriously, Roger killed it. If I were Jinx or Vivi, I'd have been worried. You know who wasn't worried? Jada, because she followed Roger's flawless performance like a pro. She was another entertaining speaker who was funny, yet still had a point to make. And that point was, well, she had another party to get to. Look over there! Evie was 6, and before I talk about her speech, I want to call out her robe and her entrance. All that graffiti on that white robe was stunning. And then Evie also stumbled on the way to the podium and comically dropped all of her cue cards. And then went on to deliver an entertaining speech about learning from failure that I felt was really inspirational. All without cue cards. Here's to Evie. So impressive. Jinx looked like she was on her way to Hogwarts, and for good reason. She was at the wrong commencement speech and then tried to salvage what she had prepared for this alleged other speech. Never was a story about getting hit by a car so funny. Seriously. The Vivian closed the show in a drunken fog of shade and was hilarious. Her vitriol towards everyone was delicious. I'd also like to point out that she stayed in that drunken character throughout the entire night. While everyone else was giving their speeches, she was completely in this zone. If that doesn't deserve consideration, I don't know what does. Not that she didn't need it. Her drunken throwing of the cards as she worked her way through her speech about her sobriety was the perfect ending to an incredibly enjoyable evening. Seriously. And then it was time for the runway. Category is Veiled It. I love Monet's feather dress, which reminded me of Kim Chi's in RuPaul's The Realness video. Is it the same designer? I also love the cage headdress, but say what you want, there was no veil on that dress. Where's the veil? Seriously. I still gave her a Fingerdoo. Shay's pleated runway look was stunning. She looked like she was off to tend a garden painted by Renoir. Fingerdoo for Shay. Seriously. Trinity's runway was all about the veil, but I'd be lying if I didn't say I was living for that headpiece as well. I love a red wedding dress, and this one was no exception. I also love a short dress and a long veil. So, of course, I had no trouble giving Trinity a Fingerdoo for this one. Seriously, she's gorgeous. Roger's veil was the best of the night because it was a mock-up of a magazine cover, voile, which is French for veil. The whole visual was beyond fashion. I gagged. Then I gave her a Fingerdoo. Jada was giving us the ultimate veil in a Spanish fantasy silhouette that kept you from seeing where the veil ended and where the dress began. It was worth a Fingerdoo if you ask me, seriously. I absolutely loved Evie's beaded look. It was like Vogue 1970s, Anushka in the desert, but she didn't have a veil either. It was more of a hood, and that kind of bothered me, but not enough to not give it a Fingerdoo, I'm just saying. If this runway was just about the veil, I think Jinx would have won it. Her veil being suspended by butterflies was breathtaking. She was like a walking Disney cartoon. It was drawn while someone was drunk, I'm just going to say. Oh, Fingerdoo for Jinx. Vivi's bondage bride sex doll was interesting. I love the color and the imagery was captivating, so I totally gave her a Fingerdoo. Before the queens headed off to the Untucked lounge, Nancy Pelosi, of all people, popped by. Apparently, just to praise the queens and the judges. Well, and of course to remind people to vote for anyone other than a Republican. Just saying. It was a very impressive moment that had nothing to do with anything. Oh, right, except, to vote. Back in the Untucked Lounge, after the queens had all complimented each other on their runways, they all compared high school stories. I love that no matter how different their experiences were, they all had similar stories, but Vivi's tale of performing in drag at her prom was the best. Speaking of the best, Nikki Glazer popped by to tell the queens how well they did and how great they are. It was a real mutual adoration society, especially for Trinity, who really appreciated Nikki's advice. Back on the main stage, it was announced that the top 2 queens were Jinx Monsoon, which I'm just going to admit surprised me a bit because, I don't know, I really thought that Vivian did a better job, no offense. And the other top queen was Roger. Finally! Well deserved. She really killed it this week. Here's to Roger. So there you go. Our first 2-star winner, Jinx Monsoon, and finally, Raja's got a star. But that wasn't all. They both got stars to give away. But they weren't going to do that until next week. Dum, dum, dum. And then it was time for the queens to lip sync to Better in Color by Lizzo. I just love her. Have you seen her reality show, Watch Out for the Big Girls, on Prime? No? It's a lot of fun. You should really check it out. I'm just saying. As for this lip sync, neither of these queens are known for cutting a rug, but I thought they both did a good job. Roger did more of an S&M performance, stand and model, while Jinx, in her Anne Margaret onesie, danced it out as best she could. Personally, I thought it was neck and neck, but as far as Ru was concerned, it was Jinx who won the cash tip and the chance to block someone. But before we get to that, I just want to make a point of congratulating Roger for a job well done. Seriously. I thought she had that. But we're not done. Jinx still had to block someone, and rightly so, she blocked Vivi. And not just because she's a force to be reckoned with, but because she wanted to block Jinx last week. What you get for spilling all your cookies, I'm just saying. So, there you go. Jinx is now the first queen to have 2 stars, but since both she and Roger each have an extra star to give away, that won't be the case for long. Who do you think Jinx and Roger will give their stars to? Evie still doesn't have a star. I'm just saying. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Did the right 2 queens land on top? Shay did a great job with her speech, as did Trinity. I know I'd be hard-pressed to pick a winner myself. How about Jinx blocking Vivi? Did Vivi put a target on her back by telling Jinx she would have blocked her last week? For me, I feel that Vivi, Shay, and Trinity are all too good not to consider blocking them. Although, Roger is on a strong trajectory to eclipse a couple of those heavy hitters, I'm just saying. All we can do is tune in to Drag Race All-Star 7 next week to see how it all plays out, and when you're done, you come on back and you see me so you and I can compare notes. Now, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and check out my links in the description box for ways you can help support me and my channel. Until next week, miss me! Seriously, it's getting good. I was starting to worry that it was all too kumbaya-y in the workroom because no one was going home. But now that people are getting blocked and not getting stars or getting stars, this is just going to get ugly before it gets better, I'll tell you what. I feel like some of the better queens might get blocked out of being in the top 4, and that scares me a little. Although, of all 8 queens, there's not one of them that I wouldn't mind seeing in the top. Seriously. Maybe somebody will give Evie a star and make her feel, what if someone gave Evie a star and then she went on to win 2 or 3 challenges in a row and knocked someone out of contention? That workroom would stop being all kumbaya-y right quick if that happened. I'm just saying, seriously.